a town called Drogheda, Ireland. It's spelled Drogheda. It looks like Drogheda. But I asked the local, I said, how do you pronounce the name of the town? He said the G is silent. And he said it's Drogheda. And that's where I'm at, Drogheda, Ireland. Some random town. Walking on some random sidewalk. Through fairly just random sort of residential, little bit of businesses up ahead of me, a gas station, coffee shop, another gas station, a church, that sort of thing. Not much there. There's a lot more in the town, but where I'm at right now, I'm just walking around investigating. And I was thinking about something. I was just like, here I am, walking down this random street. I have no idea where I'm at, except for the town that I'm in. Have zero idea of what I'm going to encounter or what's ahead of me, but I go anyway. And I was thinking about how peaceful it is, except for the cars driving by. How green and nice it is. And I was like, you know, I'm an American walking down an Irish sidewalk in some random town, some random road. Could be anywhere. I have to remember to look at the opposite direction. Because they do like the English and they drive on the other side of the road here. So the inclination when you step off the sidewalk is you look like you're at home. You have to turn in one direction, but you really need to be turning in the other to make sure you're not having a car come straight at you or something. But back to what I was saying, and I start thinking about how in the US the media projects the idea, I'm going to go down the street. The media projects the idea that the rest of the world is unsafe and that the only real safe place is in the United States. They project the idea into Americans to literally fear the rest of the world. And they want to make it seem like everybody out there is out to get you. They're out to get you and it's unsafe and you should stay at home because that's where you're safest and all that. I was thinking, what's behind that idea? You know, what could be the major motivating factor to push an idea that the rest of the world is unsafe and full of scary people that are going to get you and all that sort of nonsense? And I think the idea behind it is economics. I think it comes down to where they want you spending your dollar. And I think for the most part, they want you spending it in the US, as opposed to spending it, say like me, here in Ireland or other places I've been, Spain, Italy, France, etc. So keep the people at home, promote the idea that the rest of the world is unsafe, pump Americans full of fear and anxiety, and keep them dumb, keep them stupid about really what's going on in the world. I gotta tell you, everywhere I've been so far, and I just started traveling in Europe in March, so it was new to me. I'd never been in Europe before. The only times I'd been out of the United States before that was Canada and Mexico. And now I decided I'm going to Europe. I had no idea what I was going to find when I got here. Just went. Just did it. And I'll tell you what I found. I found people that are less paranoid.
I'll try.
People that are more likely to help. People that have a more kind sort of generosity than you do in the US, where everybody seems to be coming unglued. They're afraid of cameras. Here, I walk around with a camera, I'm walking around with a camera, walking down the street with a camera. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody. In the US, a cop sees you with a camera and his first inclination is to pull out his gun. What's he doing? He must be doing something. He must be committing a crime. All that sort of nonsense. They're paranoid. The United States is a paranoid, anxiety-ridden population, not in totality, but for a large percentage. Look at behind me over here. So, there's a graveyard. It's a very tall. Oh, I think I can walk in there. I think I will. Some very tall stones, markers, grave markers. Let's go take a look around in here for a minute. I can walk. Can walk right in. Look at that. Look at these. They're tall. I was looking at graves in a church a couple of weeks ago, and the graves had both the husband and wife buried, and so I looked at the years between when the husband died and the wife died. And some of them were very long stretches of time, like 30 years, 40 years. So the husband died, and then like 30 or 40 years later, the wife died, and they were buried in the same grave. And I thought, what happens to the person that survived? It's like they never married again. They never It's like once that marriage was broken and one of them died, the other one just remained single. And thought that was kind of interesting. Look at these. Look at the work, the stonework on that. Love this. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. So, the American media wants Americans to be paranoid and full of anxiety. It wants you to believe. It wants you to think that the world is out to get you. But it's not true. You walk down your sidewalks at home, and I don't know if you feel safe or not. I can think of a lot of places in the United States that are just not safe. They are not good places. Look at San Francisco. Look at Chicago. Areas of Phoenix. Every major city. New York. Think about it. I've been all around for the past several weeks just here in Ireland. So I'll use that as an example. Just in Ireland. Ireland, as far as square miles, I looked this up, can fit into Arizona 3 times. So Arizona is 3 times as large as Ireland. And it's got little towns all over the place with several larger cities. Like Dublin, for example. And I mean, where I'm at is no small town per se. It's fairly large town. It's not giant. It's big enough. Got everything here. I even saw a Ford dealership, which is rare, on the way here. Forget how far out it was. But generally speaking, what I've come across are peaceful, quiet, chill, generous, kind people. They ask you where you're from the United States. Oh, really? Where at? Arizona. Arizona. I've been to Arizona. I met a lot of people that have been to Arizona. I went to the Grand Canyon. Hey, that's great. I went to the Grand Canyon. That's awesome. How'd you like it? Loved it. I mean, you got people in Arizona living right in Phoenix who have never been to the Grand Canyon. And you've got people from Ireland who have been there. So, if you have been considering traveling, I suggest that you do it, because you'll be much better off than believing the lie that wants to project how terrible the rest of the world is. And I'm not saying everything is perfect everywhere, because that's just not true, but you have to take it as a whole. You have to take it in general. And if you go looking for terrible things, you will find terrible things. And if you go looking for good stuff, you'll find good stuff. And that's what you should do. Focus on the positive, focus on good things, focus on building your happiness, being content with your life as you are, while you stretch and grow and build for the things that you want and that you want to achieve. So be happy where you're at, but you don't want to stay where you're at. You want to continually grow and expand. So be happy with what you have and use what you have to work toward the things that you want. So I'm going to cut it there. I'm going to go out of the graveyard now. I'm going to go back out the same passway that I came in, right here. And it goes right onto the street. And so we'll leave it at that. Remember, if you really want to have a bit of freedom, I suggest you travel. That's where you're going to get it, and that's where you're going to experience it the most. Talk to you later. Bye. A gaol. That's jail. This was a jail. Not anymore. Now it's a hardware store. Funny. I am in Drogheda, Ireland, and today is my last day. Well, tomorrow I check out. Today is my last day for really going around and doing anything, because tomorrow I'm jumping on a bus and heading to Belfast. But there is a church or a cathedral in this town where at some point in the past, and I was told this by my Uber driver, but also by the staff in the hostel, where there was a guy, and I'll find out all the details and all the information when I get there, but apparently he was a bit of a tyrant, and I guess whatever happened with the town at that time, in that era, this guy, this tyrant, ended up getting his head lopped off. So they cut the guy's head off. The Uber driver told me they cut his head off because he was a bastard, something like that. And so I'm like, okay. And so the head is preserved behind in a case inside this cathedral. Now I'm going to go in there and find out. I think it's a weird place to have a head in a cathedral, but the politics of Europe are interesting nonetheless. So anyway, going to find out what the deal is, and when I find out, I'll let you know. Okay, so I went to the church where they keep the head of the individual that I was talking about. And so the cab driver had a negative view of it. I don't know how much the cab driver knows or doesn't know. But when I got into the church, there was indeed a head. It was behind a glass case, and inside that glass case was another sort of glass, ornate glass with gold, sort of a box, a case, and inside of that was a head. Now, I don't know if that was a real head or not. It's supposed to be. It looked mummified. It wasn't wrapped up with cloth or anything. I don't mean that kind of mummification. I just mean you could see it. The skin was, it was brown and leatherish. And it is the head of the individual known as Saint Oliver. And he was executed during a time where Catholics and Protestants were not on very good terms in Europe, here in Ireland, England, etc. So this guy, this Saint Oliver, he was a Catholic priest, a bishop, I guess, and he actually founded a school that educated both Protestants and Catholics together. He got in trouble for that. And then at some point he was accused of being involved in a plot to assassinate, I think it was the King of England or something. Which they say he wasn't involved with that at all. I think it was a long period of certain individuals who wanted to get him because he was probably doing worthwhile work. And so after years of trying to get him, not being able to, they finally found a way. He was brought for a trial, he was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death. So they're going to hang him, and then they were going to take him off from being hanged, or they were going to hang him and disembowel him and then take him down and then burn him and all these, lop off his head and all this sort of thing. So they did hang it. At first they drug him through the street behind a cart for a couple miles. They strung him up. They did all their ugliness. And then after his head was lopped off, it was thrown into the fire as well. Somebody snatched out the head. And they say that there's char on one cheek. So, interesting history. I guess Ireland has a long history of negative interaction between Catholics and Protestants. And of course, that was all over Europe. So, Anyway, there's always more to the story. There's this gloss over that most people grab onto, and there's the underlying truth. And when you get to the underlying truth, then you have it. Then you have the knowledge that you need, that you want, and that helps to expand your mind, and you grow and you learn. So that's the best thing to do. So anyway, I'm gonna cut it there. I'm gonna go in because I've got some work to do, so time to get some work done.